grass fires. I mean, I feel for them, I really do.
Volunteering or what?
Oh, volunteers and regular pay.
No,
I mean,
for the
it's
prayer.
no. It's up to the mayor, I've already done mine.
To do what?
I don't, he's talking about praying.
Oh, Councilwoman Burns is gonna lead us tonight.
She is the queen
The goat.
Hey, Francel,
centric.
we've seriously, we're thinking about just making you the go-to prayer person.
That's right.
Like making a motion.
Do you have a short abbreviated version or in a long one too?
All right, it's 6 o'clock. I'll now call to order this meeting of the White House City Council for today, August 24th of 2026. It is 6 p.m. Ms. Nichols, will you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. James Wansley.
Here.
Zach Briscoe.
Here.
Francel Burns. Here. John Chambers.
Here.
Michael Lowe.
Here.
Matt Lazarine.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Excellent, thank you. Will you please stand if you're able and join Councilwoman Burns as she leads us in a word of prayer.
God, now we thank you for today. We thank you for your blessings, God. We thank you for your darling son, Jesus. God, we thank you for yet another opportunity to come back together again. God, thank you for the opportunity to serve this great community of White House, Texas. God, we ask that you continue to bless and give wisdom to the mayor, the city council members, Leslie Black, and the entire staff that serves White House, Texas. God, we ask that you continue to help us to listen to each other, help us to consider each other's views, and then, God, seek common ground. God, we ask a special blessing over those that are fighting the fires, those that are serving the people, those that are serving the schools. God, just everyone that's serving, but in your name. We ask that you continue to keep us together. God, help us to remember words like unity and integrity as we move forward in today's discussion. God, we thank you and we love you. We ask that you bless the city that we all call home. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join the council in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
That sounded amazing. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you, Councilwoman, for the prayer. All right, that takes us down to item D, presentations, of which we have none. So we will move to item E, matters of community interest. Mrs. Black.
Mayor and council, as most of you all know, the Climate Vision weather radar has been placed atop the tower on Hagan Rd. I do know that they are expecting to have that fully operational within the next 30 to 60 days, so we're really excited about that. National Night Out will be held on Tuesday, October 6th from 5 to 7 p.m. here at City Park. That's always a great time with our law enforcement, firefighters, other public safety personnel. Everyone can join us for that. And then as of this past Friday, we have met our election deadlines and all candidates are unopposed. So at the next council meeting, we'll be bringing something before you to cancel the November election for the mayor position, place 2, 4, and mayor. Yes, sir.
We can add the cost of that back to our budget, right?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. All right, anything else on the matter of community interest from council? All right, that takes us down to the consent agenda. This section shall provide for items that require action by the council, but where no discussion is anticipated by a single motion, second affirmative majority vote, items under this section are approved without further discussion or action. Any council member may request the removal of any item from the consent agenda, in which case these items shall be discussed and voted upon separately. There's only one item on the consent agenda, and that is approval of the minutes of the city council meeting on August 7th of 2026 and August 10th of 2026. If there's no findings in those meeting minutes, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. With that, the consent agenda is confirmed. On to item G, other action items, ordinances, resolutions, and public hearings. This is a continuance of the public hearing on the proposed 2026-27 budget. So go ahead and enter into public hearing. So the time is 6:04, and we will move from the regular council meeting into the public hearing now. Is there anyone present that would like to speak to the 2026-27 budget? All right. After a long pause, I see there's no one, so the time is 6:05, and I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and enter into the regular council agenda. And that takes us to item G2.
Mayor, so there is some action required for
Okay.
G1. I don't know if you want me to go back through some of the budget and tax rate update before we get to proposing a tax rate, or if you'd rather me wait.
I think the more information, the better. If
Okay.
there's
So I'll
anything you
run
can
through
provide
this
us.
presentation pretty quickly. We've covered most of it in our 2 prior public meetings, but I'll run through it pretty quickly here tonight. Tonight, we have 2 action items before you. The first one is the budget public hearing. At the conclusion of the budget public hearing, state statute requires that you take some sort of action at the conclusion of tonight's public hearing. So
Oh, I see.
the action needs to be that you will set formal action on September 22nd at 6 p.m. here at City Hall. The second item before you tonight is a tax rate proposal. And again, that has very specific wording that you must make your motion when we get to that point. A look back at kind of where we are in the budgeting process. We presented the initial base budget in July. We held our budget workshop on August 7th, took that feedback from the council, and opened the public hearing on August 10th with a revised budget. And we'll go over what all that includes here shortly. Tonight, we're continuing the public hearing and proposing the tax rate, and then we will set everything for final adoption on September 22nd. A little bit of note, as you all know, we've talked about, this year is significantly different than what we've seen in at least recent property tax setting years. Our certified appraisal roll was up just 0.7%. Typically, in years past, we've seen that number up around 5 or 6%. But the biggest change this year was that our net taxable value decreased, which means our opportunity for revenue to fund city operations also decreased. The taxable base did not keep pace with community growth, inflation, and service demand. The biggest reasoning for this reduction was due to changes in exemptions for business personal property, and then a correction of an error that was made related to business personal property tax in last year's tax rate calculation. So while yes, we all look around and we see all the growth that's happening, that's not translating into tax revenue growth for the city this year.
So that wasn't a city error.
No, sir, it was with the appraisal district.
Okay.
So as I mentioned, we came back to you with a revised budget. This is just an overview of what changed in the general fund, where we stand with revenues, expenditures, and then a forecasted margin of only $57,272, which is very thin for a budget of about $10 million for the year. But we feel like this is the best, most prudent use of funds for the upcoming year. So that's kind of where we stand there. And then what was revised in the budget was to allow for 4 additional public safety positions, an investigator, a patrol officer, and 2 full-time firefighters, the replacement of tasers for our police department, 2 AED replacements. Those are all external defibrillators. I don't know what the A stands. I can't remember what the A stands for. Automated. Yes.
You do have to press the button, but after that-
Critical equipment if your heart stops, and then an increase to streets and stormwater repairs for both Rosebrook street repairs of about $50,000, and then a citywide roadway condition assessment. All of those things were added in the revised work program. Again, this will allow for 3 officers on every patrol shift for our police department, and to provide a second investigator, which is critically needed as our population has continued to grow. Our public safety departments have done a great job of keeping up, but we're at a critical tipping point where we've got to have some additional personnel if we want to maintain those service levels. Same for the fire department. This would allow for 3 full-time and 1 part-time firefighter per shift, and would allow us to continue those staffing models that are needed. A quick look at the tax rate reference points. The last time we all spoke, we were thinking that the rate would need to be at the de minimis rate of 0.828. After speaking with Mayor Wansley, Ms. Lusk and I did some work with our financial advisors and tax attorneys, and feel like that tonight we would recommend that you propose a rate of 0.792891, which is 3.5 cents below the de minimis rate and 5.5 cents below the voter approval rate. We understand that this is still a significant increase in what the current adopted tax rate is, but it is going to be used strictly to provide critical public safety services and roadway repairs. So this is how we came up with that scenario. So the M&O rate would be 0.493059, the INS rate of 0.299832. One thing to note here, we have to do statutory calculations on our 2026 tax rate calculation sheet. What that worksheet showed was that the debt rate should be 0.335717. We were looking for any opportunity to not go up to the de minimis rate of 82 cents. And so what we're asking for the council to do is to use some fund balance, both out of the general fund and the INS fund, to help lower that rate. We feel like that's important. We think some of it will provide permanent rate relief, but a portion of it will only be for 1 year. We realize we're asking a lot here, and so we wanted to make sure that we were doing what we can to find the right mix, but still be fiscally prudent as we move forward. So what this looks like is that the general fund would assume scheduled payments for the 2007 bond refunding and the 2021 fire truck obligations as they come due. Both of those two notes are scheduled to be paid off by the end of next year. The general fund would assume those payments to keep them out of the debt rate calculation. Then we would use additional funds from the debt service fund balance to pay interest only on the 2022 refunding and the 2018 COs. That's that one-time lowering of the rate just slightly, so that we can keep it below 80 cents for the upcoming year. We will see that again in our tax rate calculation next year. It's a one-time thing. Jennifer, as I said, Jennifer and I did speak to our financial advisors. They felt like we had healthy fund balances in both the INS fund and the general fund to support this recommendation, so that again, we could limit that increase as much as possible. So we would take that INS rate from 0.335717 to 0.299832. Any questions on that?
So if you were budgeting at home and you were looking for a way to lower basically your monthly payments on things, you would look for any savings that you might have that's beyond what you would need for emergency. And you would say, is there any debt that is 1 or 2 years away from being paid off completely? And if we put that excess fund balance towards it, then that's where the INS pennies went. So this change in the tax rate compared to what you saw last time doesn't represent anything falling off the budget, any of those services that we saw that were there. It's just a way to pay off debt a little bit early, which we're paying principal only on at this point. Like the interest was paid. One of them was widening 346, that's how old some of that debt is. And just a way that we can use fund balance, not for something that would be recurring again next year, but for permanent removal of the pennies. So that seemed like a good use of fund balance. We're doing a one-time payment out of it to get rid of a permanent tax burden.
And again, it's not paying it off early, it's just paying it as it comes due. We did ask about paying it off early, but because it's principal only, there's no real benefit.
Oh, right, that's right,
for
yeah,
paying
that
it off
pivoted.
early.
So we wouldn't save any on interest by paying it off early. It's just putting fund balance towards those payments, which is even smarter. I mean, that allows that money to stay in fund balance and be interest bearing while we make those payments. So even better.
So again, what this strategy does is it uses our available reserves to reduce that INS levy requirement. And you are allowed to do that. So you can go lower than what the tax rate calculation worksheet shows to be paid. You just cannot go above. So by lowering it, we are well within state law to do so. But it does not reduce, or it does not eliminate our future debt service requirements. We have a 30-year debt schedule that's planned out well in advance. One of the things that we run into is that we plan 30 years out based on the rules and allocations that we have today. So when we issued debt in 2025, we made those decisions based on our property tax values, how they've grown, and what the state legislature had those numbers at then. What they've done since then is changed the rules. So every time they give one group a greater exemption, we either have to cut services or another group has to make up the difference. And so that's one of the things that we're running into this year. I'm gonna skip this. We've covered where we've been and where we're headed again tonight. So this first item is to set the date for action and adoption for the budget for September 22nd at 6 p.m. And then on item number 2, we will need to determine the tax rate to be formally proposed and set the required public hearing and adoption for also at September 22nd at 6 p.m.
So that first item needs to come out of item G1, which is the public hearing. That's an action out of
Correct.
public hearing, correct?
Yes, sir.
So we are still in public hearing. Is there any more discussion from council? Okay. Then, yeah, entertain a motion.
So I'd make a motion to schedule discussion, consideration, and possible adoption of FY 25 and 2026.
Should be 26, 27.
I'm sorry, 26, 27, annual operating budget for the regular meeting on Tuesday, September 22nd, 2026 at 6 p.m.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that item? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, with that, the motion passes. We are ready to exit the public hearing, yes?
Yes, sir.
All right, the time is 6:16, the public hearing is over. We're now back into the regular agenda. That brings us to item G2, set the proposed 2026-27 tax rate, take a record vote, and setting a public hearing date.
Was the PowerPoint you just did basically what you were going to do on this one?
Yes, sir. I don't have
Okay.
anything additional to add. It's hard to cover one without the other, so. I've just got those numbers back up here in case you need to see them again.
Do we need a motion?
We do, if there's no further discussion.
I'll make the motion to propose a total tax rate of 0.792891 per $100 evaluation for the 2026-2027 fiscal year, where 0.493059 will be used for maintenance and operations and 0.299832 for interest and sinking funds. And set the public hearing on the tax rate for 6 p.m. on September 22nd, 2026 at 311 East Main Street, White House, Texas.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. With that, the motion passes. All right, we'll see you all then. Item G3, this is a long one. Public hearing, discussion, consideration, and action on a rezoning request from Hagan Oaks subdivision at 600 block of Hagan Road, Tract 56 and 57. A 2± acre land in the E. Brown Survey A87, Smith County, Texas, from residential medium density plan development RMPD to residential medium density plan development RMPD, amending planned development by constructing single-family attached units with a minimum home size of 1,600 square feet, removing the private gate, the dog park, the age restrictions, and this is ordinance number 26-0824-01. Mr. Hooter.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This request is to amend the existing residential medium density plan development for approximately 2 acres in the Hagan Oaks subdivision on Hagan Road. The current proposal includes detached single-family homes with the same footprint of what's already been approved, medium home size of 1,600 square feet, the removal of the private gate, dog park, and age restriction. A proposal for this same property was presented by a different developer and was denied by P&Z and City Council in January. However, the proposal had a different layout and development standards. This was presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission last week, and P&Z recommended denial of this item. The developer has decided to appeal and is also here to answer any questions that may come up.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Hooter before I go to public comments?
So what was the main difference between the one we denied back in January and this one?
So that big one attached.
Yes, sir. They were smaller and attached or detached.
Detached.
So they
1,100 square foot homes.
Right. These are supposed to be 1,600 as already approved.
Any more questions for Mr. Hooter? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we had several people sign up, and I'll start in the order that they were received. The first one to speak is Mr. Jim Neff. If you could come up and state your name and address for the record, please, sir. And we
Jim
got-
Neff.
I'm sorry, let me proceed. This is 3 minutes, so public speaking is limited to 3 minutes unless you are disabled and in need of assistance, an interpreter or any other type of assistance. So I'm gonna start my clock. Mr. Nips Pro, he probably already has it timed, but for anybody else that's speaking, I'm gonna start the clock, and I'm gonna raise my hand at 3 minutes to let you know you've exceeded
Had
the
to give
time.
address too, though.
Yes, sir. Name and address for the record, please, sir.
Jim Neff, 813 Blackbird Way, here in White House. Mayor and council, thanks for allowing me to speak. Hey, I'm opposed to the proposed amendment in item G3, but I want to be very clear about why. I don't live in the Sunny Meadows neighborhood. My concern's bigger than this particular piece of property. Frankly, it's bigger than that one neighborhood. When city approves a planned development, people make decisions based on that approval. They buy homes, they build homes, they invest hundreds of thousands of dollars. They choose one neighborhood over another because they have a reasonable expectation about what's going to be built around them. I believe the city has an obligation to respect that reliance. The development contemplated here was approved with certain characteristics as almost a retirement community. It was gated, it had an age restriction, it included a dog park. These things help define the nature of the development that people in the surrounding area reasonably expected would be built. The entire neighborhood was developed. After the entire neighborhood community has been established, those homeowners have already made their investment. Now we're asking to materially change that plan. That troubles me, and I believe it should trouble every one of you. I've spoken about it here before, and I believe very strongly that this should be prevented by ordinance. Homeowners should not be forced to stay vigilant to protect their investment in our city. That's what P&Z is supposed to do, and frankly, that's what you guys are supposed to do. So these citizens, these people built and invested in our community with the belief that this quiet little over 50 neighborhood was going to be built in this little nook, and then that's not what we're planning for. I'm not against small homes. I'm not against affordable housing. I don't think anybody is, but they're against it where they built because that's the condition that they built under. And I believe that's a contract we all have to keep. Whether it's a legal contract or a moral contract, I believe it's one we all have to keep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next to speak is Thomas Mosley. If you could come up and state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, do you have the pictures of the houses that he's gonna build in that area, or wants to build in that area? I want y'all to look at that. Now, we live around this, all around the fence. Now, when they build this is gonna be well over the fence. So they're down looking down at you. Now, what are y'all gonna say? Because that is invasion of privacy. He knows that. But he wants to still build it. Oh, this is my neighbor. That tree is fully on his property. He will not do anything with that tree. The tree is growing into the lines now. And if it bumps that where I get my electricity, boom, we're out of electricity. He doesn't do anything with it. He never cleans it up, nothing. And now he wants this. I say no.
Thank you, Mr. Mosley.
I'm gonna pass.
You're gonna pass? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll go to the next name. Vicky Lancaster. You can come up and state your name and address for the record.
Hi. My name is Vicki Lancaster. I live at 802 Charlie in White House, so this really does affect me.
Put that microphone closer to you.
I am not right.
There you go.
behind it. But my problem is, I spoke to the gentleman after Planning and Zoning Commission and said, you know, if you want this approved, you need to build homes 1,600 square feet or a little smaller, 2 bedrooms for seniors. The first thing he said to me was, no bank will give a loan for a 2-bedroom home. I see them built all over Tyler all the time for seniors. Then I questioned him about why did he have a problem building for seniors? And he said, well, you know, if y'all want seniors, I can build 3-bedroom homes. We can put seniors in there. They can stay for 72 hours. We even rent it out. So now I'm questioning, what type of person is this that is wanting to build next to me, that says this to me outside of the meeting? My next question is, they are wanting to build 3-bedroom homes, family homes. I have lived on Hagan Road since 1984, so I have seen the growth. The little bit of growth that will cause with families is gonna be horrid. I used to live on Christopher. I can remember when I could go to the end of Christopher, look 5 seconds, and be on my way. You can't do that on Hagan Road anymore at all. And now you're gonna have this family community that close to our neighborhood. Where are all these people gonna park? How is EMS gonna get into something where families live, where there will end up being cars parked in the road? If you look at the in and out of this, there is no way that you're gonna be able to get a fire truck in there and get it out. You can't get a school bus in there. The school bus will have to, which I granted, the school bus does stop on Hagan Road. I love the bus driver. She stops right in the middle of both lanes and makes sure all those cars stop so our kids are safe. So kudos to her. But I mean, this is just more added congestion. What it was originally planned for, and I agree with the gentleman that lives on Blackbird, what this was originally planned for was why we built our house where we built it.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, up next is Mike Cherry. Come on up, state your name and address for the record, please, sir.
Hello, my name's Mike Cherry. I live at 1003 Jackie Ray and White House in the Sunny Meadows edition. It's good to see y'all again. We're back again.
Yes.
I was here in January, and I'm gonna sound like a broken record again, but I said we start off with safety stuff, being an old oil field guy. And if you go up, excuse me, if you go up Memory Lane and you take a left to go down Hagan, there's a fence right there close to the road, and you cannot hardly, I've been hit nearly twice, turning left to go to my house. You can't see around that fence, and it is a definite safety hazard. So you put people right there on that corner, it's gonna be even a bigger safety hazard. So I agree with her. And, you know, again, I think these guys are wanting to build it for rental property. And if there's no gated community or 55 old, who knows what we're gonna get in there, and it'll decrease our property values again. So I guess you guys could quit seeing us if we could get somebody to agree what was originally designed with the private gate and the dog park and the age restrictions. So I guess we'll just keep showing up as long as they keep bringing it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cherry. All right, and our final speaker is Lauren Hayden. You come up and state your name and address for the record, please.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Lauren Hayden. I reside at 902 Jackie Ray in the Sunny Meadows neighborhood. I wrote something today and I also emailed all of you guys. I was in a time crunch. I found out about this meeting at like 2 o'clock today, so I'm trying to rally all of our neighborhood get everybody here together to just voice our opinions and our concerns, and I know some of us did that last week at planning and zoning. So I'm just gonna kind of reiterate what a bunch of other people already said and some of my own opinions as well. I really am not bothered with removing the gate or the dog park. What I am most worried about is the age restriction being removed. And just like Mr. Nip said, a lot of us, this is the biggest investment we make in our entire lives, is our home. So I know when me and my husband built our home, the original land was for 55 and up, the dog park, the gate, and that was just kind of reassuring to us. I'm a little hesitant about the lack of transparency with this meeting being called today. I didn't even know about it. I guess I feel like I need to pay more attention to the city council agendas every month to see what's gonna pop up. I learned a little bit about this process. I did not realize when you get denied at planning and zoning, they can appeal it and come back to city council. So note to self, learned that. Learning moment for me. He did mention at planning and zoning that there will be an HOA and he will manage that. That's all, that's great. What if you sell your house and somebody else moves in, or what if it gets rezoned again? You know, there's all these what ifs. We don't know what's going to happen. And who's to say a rental property can't come in and buy 6 houses and then rent them out to whoever they want to rent out to. I'm also concerned about the traffic, the amount of crime, and again, what Mr. Cherry said, that intersection at Memory and Hagan, when you turn left, I mean, it's roll the dice. You might get hit, you might not. You have to be really careful. Those are just a few pieces of my concerns. I hope I don't have to come back here, but I hope you do see that we're persistent. We will come back and we will raise our voices. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hayden. All right, that is everyone who signed up to speak. I understand that the developer is here as well, if council has any questions of them. Otherwise, it's open for conversation here.
How often can a developer come and appeal?
So after this happened in January, we brought an ordinance before you that states that they have to wait at least 6 months if there aren't any substantive changes. I'm having a hard time talking tonight. Without substantive changes, they have to wait 6 months. This is a different developer than who all proposed this in January.
Can this same developer come back again in 6 months?
They can, the way
Okay.
the ordinance is written
Okay.
today. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So I was sitting where Councilwoman Burns is sitting whenever we first approved this plan development in March 24th of 2020. And I went back and listened to the recording of that meeting, and we were super excited because the plan development was somewhat new for the city. Like we wanted developers to have the opportunity to take what was then residential low. I think all 8 people that abut that property, half of you bought the property when it was bought your homes when it was residential low. The other half bought your property with this zoning in place where it was gonna be a retirement community. You know, it was gonna be 50 or older, it was gonna be a dog park, a picnic area, a gate, sidewalks. They talked about sidewalks in that meeting, and definitely the age restriction. And I'd imagine, you know, buying your property with the idea that, hey, maybe one day mom and dad will live back there, right? It's the retirement community. So it was almost a value add to have it, you know, as it was zoned, which is the purpose of a plan development. You take property that's residential low, and it's a negotiation between the city and the developer to try to make changes to it, but changes that still retain the value that you would get out of a residential low development. So that's what was proposed, and it was hard to get it through planning and zoning, even with those, you know, with those concessions, because a couple of things. People just see that it was being rezoned as residential medium. Plan developments were new to the city. They didn't trust that the city was gonna hold the developer to the requirements that they put in place. But it got through planning and zoning. There was about a month of conversation before it finally made it to council while they were talking to the citizens and mitigating those concerns. And then it came to council, and it was about a 20-minute conversation just full of excitement. You know, that we had this plan development, that it was gonna be built this way. This was brand new to White House, you know, for how it's being built and the amenities that it's gonna bring. So I think that was a hard thing to move from residential low to residential medium with all of those concessions in place. And I would think, as I've spoken to tonight, we're kind of the stewards of of the property here in White House. When it's planned that way, when it's negotiated that way, it's up to planning and zoning and the city to make sure that developers stick to those negotiations that are made during that process. Now, if we want to start over, we're going to go back to residential low and then enter into a new contract where we try to figure out what residential medium plan development would look like. That's great, but to me, at this point, to take what was kind of hard to get through in the first place and start knocking stuff off of it, I feel like it knocks some of the value off of what was negotiated in the first place.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that even at the time, it was hard to get through as it was because they didn't trust that P and Z or the council would uphold that end of it. I think that says a lot. To me, this is nothing different than January where we had to overrule P and Z, and this time I think P and Z got it right, so.
I 100% agree.
Same.
Yep.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to deny the rezoning request for residential low density R-M to residential medium density R-M for property located in Hagan Oaks subdivision at 600 block Hagan Road, Tract 56 and 57 for their construction.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, with that, the motion carries. That brings us down to item G4, discussion, consideration, and action on awarding a bid for the Austin Bank Elevated Storage Tank Rehabilitation Project. Mr. Henderson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to talk about the rehabilitation of the Austin Bank Elevated Storage Tank. So as you know, it's from previous meetings, this is something that we needed to do to stay in compliance with the TCEQ. And we've been working closely with Kelly Horn to cut costs basically as much as we can to make it as effective as we can. And now that we're done with the final design, we've already done the bids, and the bids came back ranging from $259,990 to $647,950. The engineer's opinion of probable construction costs was approximately $578,000. The lowest bidder that came in had to withdraw due to lack of electrical certification requirements, as was put into the attachment that I attached to the staff report. So the next lowest bid was for Tanks Co. Incorporated, and it was put in at $388,700, which according to the bid, it was $189,300 below the engineer's educated costs.
Wow, that's rare.
We're seeing that more and more, Mayor and Council, right now, is that projects are coming in slightly or significantly under OPCCs. I think with the way the construction market has changed since 2020, numbers are kind of all over the place, and you never know which trade is gonna be where. So we saw that a little bit with some things on Forestdale. I think it was a little bit under the OPCC as well. And we told let's rather go into the OPCC a little bit high and get bids that are a little bit lower than try and figure it out after the fact. So this is good news. I will say, Councilmember Lazarine asked me earlier today, could we apply those savings to another project? And the short answer is no. We were already going to be using some fund balance for some projects that were coming out of the ACO, so it would just reduce the amount of fund balance that we would need to use to get these projects across the finish line.
So when you say during this process, you were trying to find ways to cut costs, did that play a lot into this being $189,000 cheaper or less expensive? Or?
No, it's basically, it'll be based on alternates, like say with the ladder on the inside of the tank, they knew there was some damage, but depending on how much will depend on.
So we had to bid those items separately. It's not an automatic that the contractor gets it. It's one of those things that throughout the process we'll keep an eye on, and if we need to come back to you or do a change order, we can do that then.
And we still have a little room in there.
But if we put it in the base bid, it's gonna get done and it's gonna get spent, and that's not always the best approach.
Question. This is inside and outside paint.
Yes, sir.
Will the logo on the exterior of the tank still, it's all included in this price?
Yes, sir, there'll be 4 logos.
And better lighting?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay.
any more questions from council? You got a price that came in below, below estimate. This one's easier than what it usually is.
One more question. How long has it been since the interior's been painted, I wonder?
According to the records, I believe it was in 2003 when the Hagan Tower was built.
It's been a while.
And according to the specs on the painting for this one, it should last hopefully equally as long.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you, sir. All right, any discussion from council? If there's none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to award the contract for the Austin Bank Elevated Storage Tank Rehabilitation Project to Tanks Co. Incorporated in the amount of $388,700 and to authorize the city manager to execute the necessary contract documents.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. With that, the motion carries. Thank you for your work on that, TJ. All right, item number 5, discussion, consideration, and action on the request for qualifications for a municipal complex. This one doesn't have money, it just has skills, right? The RFQ.
Well, you can't base it on money. You can't
I
base who
know.
you pick on money. There is money involved.
We just don't know yet how much.
There always is. Mayor and council, we received 10
Ooh.
submittals for the request for qualifications for
That's
the municipal complex, all from great, highly qualified architecture firms. Just as a reminder, this project would include, we have slated some funding for the renovation and expansion of City Hall to include a new council chambers / courtroom, a new fire station, and some improvements to City Park. And so that was all included in the scope. We did receive, again, 10 submittals for that. Staff reviewed the submittals and is recommending that we move forward with Fitzpatrick Architects for the project. As you all know, Fitzpatrick did the preliminary planning for that. One of the biggest factors that we were looking at internally was not only qualifications, experience, and how well they work together as a team, but also we wanted someone in the local area this time. We felt like that would serve us better given the scope and size of this project. So again, staff is recommending that we move forward with Fitzpatrick Architects.
I've worked with them a ton on the courthouse stuff. That is a class outfit.
And they're the ones that found a way for the fire station to go over there to take what was gonna be unused space out of the middle of the renovations here. So I think they're already kind of showing their value. Now, did I hear that right? It's gonna be everything? It's just all of it, right? So is that gonna be done mobilization wise? Are those projects gonna be done and?
So we are working with half on phasing, and we'll get, when we get Fitzpatrick procured as our architect, we will work together on what that phasing will look like. This scope of services for architecture will cover all of those projects,
Okay.
though, is the intent.
So I know it's a game of cups and balls, like where we're gonna wind up putting staff while things are getting
Yes,
done. So if
yes.
everything's
In
getting
what
built at once,
order-
I don't know.
What order that'll be in, but we felt like having one architect team for all of those projects, even if they're not all done simultaneously, was important for
That's good.
continuity between the
Very
two
good
buildings.
idea.
Every year it gets more expensive. I mean, if we can build,
Yes.
if we can get them built tomorrow, that'd be great, all of them.
Yeah.
But you're hoping to have them all done at one time, right? You enjoyed the city center that much?
I really, anything we can do to shorten that process, that really painful construction process, I'm all for.
Don't be a bear.
Well, and the cool part with them doing all 3 projects, everything should be using the same stone and look-alike and have the same
Right.
idea and thought process behind it.
Yeah,
So-
mobilization, delivery, like all those things that you can save.
Stone queries matter, all those things.
Yeah, the stone changes. If you got a different query, it's a different color. It's weird. Wow. All the things you'd never think you have to think of. So, any discussion from council on this recommendation?
Sounds good.
All right, hearing no discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to move to authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute a professional service agreement with Fitzpatrick Architects for the White House Municipal Complex project.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. With that, the motion carries. On to item G6. Consider future agenda items. Oh my gosh.
Mayor and Council, we're shaping up to be a very full evening on September 22nd. As you all know, budget and tax rate items will be back before you. Some of these other things will be, some consent items like cancellation of election. We have a proclamation for National Night Out. Current year budget amendments, Jennifer was laughing the other day, we were working in 3 budget years all at the same time, and so we've got some work to do to clean up the current fiscal year budget amendments, water, wastewater, and garbage rates that are approved in your budget, for the year, and then also we will be holding a public hearing for a substandard structure on Blackbird Way. So that will be on the September 22nd. This is moving through.
Get your yard work done.
A substandard structure, that is?
This is to move through the legal process, to
on
get
that
a,
house.
a structure up to code, or
That's
to
right.
get it removed if it cannot be brought up to code, so.
And at this point, it's well below standard.
Yes, sir.
So
It is
substandard is
substandard.
kind of a, yeah.
Yes,
it's an
that is the legal term.
understatement,
Yes,
right.
sir.
Petition for release from ETJ.
Oh, yes, we do have someone that has requested to be released from the ETJ.
That hurts my feelings.
I know. I try not to take it personally, but I do every time.
Yeah, this proclamation, this proclamation for National Night Out. It'll be after National Night Out. When are we
It'll be
holding our
March-
next meeting?
September 22nd is our next
Oh,
meeting.
okay,
National
October, I
Night
was
Out.
1 month, okay, good, yeah, so we'll get it ahead of that, and I'll read it again that night, of National Night Out. Okay,
Are we gonna take a, car apart, chief? Take the top off?
For safety reasons, probably not.
oh, with the Jaws of Life?
Dog,
Yeah,
dog.
man, it's not the early 2000s
That was a
anymore.
going away present for me.
Flying shrapnel, you
I
know,
know.
that gets me anxiety.
They used to disassemble couches, like they get an old couch and jerk that thing apart, but yeah,
Oh, well, maybe one year.
there we go. All right, anything else to add to this list? We're almost out of room, there's only like 2 more items you can add on there, we'll reduce our font. Anything else to add? All right, hearing none, that takes us down to item H, administrative reports. We're gonna receive the reports from staff for July. It's the part where we test our Wi-Fi.
I got some kind of security warning, but we're gonna
Oh,
forge ahead anyway.
okay. Push through on that.
We're gonna live dangerously tonight.
This is our smart sheet. Here we go, the property tax, sales tax,
Sales tax is still up slightly, which is good.
Yeah.
are we seeing a hit in our water? I mean, this report's a month behind, but we're just now getting like some really dry, crispy
That's right.
grass out there, so.
Water revenue.
I'm hoping we'll have, August billing will go out here tomorrow, so
Yeah.
hopefully those
Not
numbers will
really.
look a little bit better. As always, those
Still a lot
last
behind.
2 or 3 months
Yeah.
tend to lag behind a little bit. and
Part of the
that's
budgeting
really
thing, you always hope we sell enough water to pay for it.
we'll do
You're
that.
kidding.
I
The
expect
sewer's
August
sewer's
to be
always
stronger.
consistent. Oh,
Yes.
sorry.
Yeah, so sewer's capped, so that's why you kind of
Right.
see that, it's a little steadier.
Our franchise fees have definitely improved, haven't they, in the last couple of years?
They have, I was talking to Tom Trimble with Encore today, and they are up over the past several years.
Makes a difference.
Well, actually, look at 2025, it looked like we were getting more than the green line showing in 2026.
They're up now, we're getting, I think 2025 was was it cooler? Is that why we sold less water?
I think we
as
had an
well?
audit, didn't we, Mr. Blank?
For Encore, it's based on kilowatt hour of usage,
Right,
so.
yeah. So when it's hot, the kilowatt hours goes
Yes.
up. But yeah, we also had a service come in and identify additional franchise fees that might be exposed. Did we get any big fines off of that?
We did have some fines. I don't know that how significant they were. But I think we're closing in on the end of that agreement with them. I think we'll hit our 3rd year in the spring, maybe in March.
And they were commission based, basically,
Yes.
so we didn't lose any money if they didn't
They
find
have
it.
one more little audit, that's what they said last, they have one more audit to do.
Okay,
Yeah,
excellent.
makes a difference.
Yeah, it's good to know what you got. Okay. We see permitting. Residential permits. Man, 22 was a year, wasn't it? Look at that.
Susan's still recovering from all the work.
I know, right?
Post-COVID.
Okay, all that looks good.
Ms. Leslie, if you can pass on to the young lady that does our code enforcement, she's doing a great job.
I'll be happy to.
Please
Yes,
pass
she
that on.
does.
Very responsive.
Yes. And her job is seldomly easy, I'd imagine. It's not always good news she's delivering there, so.
Well, it seems like she has the right demeanor for it too, because it's not about just writing tickets and fining people, it's about correcting the problem, so I appreciate that.
She does a great job of getting compliance, not so much,
Not
avoiding
enforcement.
enforcement.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, that's
And it's
very
nice
good.
to have somebody without a gun on their hip going up and telling them their grass is too tall.
Where possibly would the next future neighborhoods go in town? Any ideas about where they're headed?
I mean, we have Park Meadows that's under construction, that's the big one right now, I haven't heard of any others.
Down 346 East? We got plenty of property.
Yeah, there's a lot of development,
400 homes.
yeah, going in down there. Chief, there any issues with people adhering to the burn ban that you know of?
No, we haven't had any complaints, any reports. Haven't even gotten any negative feedback as while we've suspended our burning in the city currently, so
The grass fire is just unbelievable, isn't it, across the county?
the risk potential is too high.
Yeah.
Sorry, the chiefs were sitting together. I didn't realize. I said chief over there and they both perked up.
I mean, can a pasture spontaneous combust just for heat?
Well, if the
Without any issue.
humidity is extremely, extremely low, static electricity can start a wildland fire, yes.
Just a squirrel running through the grass.
Slow down, squirrel.
All right. Service orders, looking good. Garage sale permits. Yeah, nobody wants to get out.
Too hot for that.
Like, nope,
But
I'll just keep my stuff.
as long as they don't light it on fire.
Yeah,
Sure, they had a water park or something.
all right. Let's see, crime by type. Those graphs always look tall and you realize it's like two. Yeah, there's not a times 10 anywhere. It's just Chief Robeson just staying on top of crime in the
The
city.
3 police on duty on a shift, that could decrease sometimes, of course. Sickness, illness, whatever, but that's what we're shooting at, isn't it?
That's the goal.
Yeah, that's good.
You just have to factor in training time, sick time, FMLA. You have to factor in if one guy goes to jail, he could be there for 2 or 3 hours. So
True.
you have to factor all
Take
of that.
someone to jail.
It's gonna help us
Yeah, take
tremendously.
someone to jail.
It's a lot easier to work down from 3 to 2 than it is
3
from
to
2 to 1.
Because then if you go to a domestic call, then the county's either gotta back you up or another city has to send their officers, so.
People still speeding through our town.
It's the only deterrent you can do, man.
We've had a change in the schedule for the school this year with the high school, starting later. It's been a noticeable amount of traffic decreased. I think not just, on Acrotap, of course, because that's where the drop-off is, but it seems like,
Talking about in the morning?
yes, yeah, they start late. You can actually get down Acrotap at 7:30 in the morning.
Right. The afternoon's a little different now because you weren't used to that traffic in the afternoon, but.
Right.
And it is great to see our police making the rounds during the school, after school times, for the children, and there's no tolerance, I hope, for speeders. I have no
Yeah.
sympathy. We don't want anybody hurt.
That was a big gamble from the school. They had to,
Yeah.
it got a lot of pushback on those staggered start times, but it helped with bus routes, it helped with traffic,
Sure
so
did, Mayor.
appreciate that. As our largest employer.
Well, the police chief may cringe when I say this, but because the traffic has spread out more, it does give them a better opportunity to make traffic stops because there's a way to safely do it now where there wasn't before. So to help with that enforcement
Nice.
is significantly better.
They could sit out in front of Holloway School when the high school lets out, and they could swat flies with how many people they could probably get,
Sales tax per capita.
population grows.
Yeah, the
and
sales taxes.
How that's changing.
Economic development.
Yeah, if it would diminish, then that would insinuate that the retail economy is not evolving with it, right? So that's a great thing to look at there. Appreciate that, Ms. Susan.
Y'all had a good workshop in EDC last time? At that special place?
The Federal Reserve Bank, that the Federal Reserve Bank put on. Yeah, it's interesting.
Interesting.
They did not talk about interest rates.
Wow. Bearing the lead. All right. Zooming on through some of these. City center.
And the city center's doing good.
Yeah, that graph is going in the right
Strong
direction.
growth.
Yes.
Co-working day passes.
Every time I go by, there's cars.
Yeah, I never know what's going on there. There's some event or something. I don't even know about it. I think it's great.
But the custodians of the city center are very kind and polite.
That's great.
Maybe a blood drive coming up, maybe.
Okay. Done it before, I'll do it again. All right, any questions on the KPIs that we saw tonight? Any questions or comments from council? All right, we also had an income statement as a part of our agenda packet. If there's any questions on that, we can take this at this time. All right, hearing none, there's no action on this item. So we're gonna move to item I, executive session, of which we have none. So we're not gonna J, reconvene. That leaves us to K, adjourn. There's nothing else for this meeting, no old business or what have you. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, council and mayor, that we adjourn for the evening and everybody be cool and safe.
Second. All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed can stay here. The time is 6:56. We are adjourned.